right. My name is Donna Nicholson, and I came here so long ago I don't even remember, but I came on as coordinator and was coordinator of criminal justice for 14 years. And now the program has gotten so big, we're now at 650. I'm a chairperson, took over as a chair now. So now I'm chair. Does that mean, that doesn't make any difference, really? Chair, coordinator, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But now it sounds more important. So now I'm the chairperson of criminal justice.
Okay, and I'm Jean Wynn, and I started here with the dinosaurs because I'm an anthropologist, right? No, I started here as Women's Center Director down on East Campus in one of the trailers. Did that for a while, and then went to grad school and did part-time teaching psych, and finally got a full-time position around, around 90. And I have been working in the psych department. I am currently chair of the psych anthro department.
Okay. I'll start with Donna. Donna, how did you hear about the college?
Well, it's weird because, I was such a baby. I started talking to a lot of cops. Am I looking at you? I look at you,
yeah,
right?
Just look at me.
All right. I heard about MCC way back in the 90s because a lot of cops, I was a police officer before I came here, a lot of cops ended up talking about what's the best college, as far as taking courses at. And MCC came up a lot with Tungus Community College. So those two kind of competed back and forth. And, obviously that doesn't happen anymore because MCC is obviously superior. But back then it was a real competition between those two. And they were spoken just the same as you would speak of UConn or whatever. So when I came here, it was to teach part-time just to get one course, get my foot in the door. And Al Freeheit was responsible for helping me do that.
And then a full-time position opened up?
Yeah. Actually, Al Freeheit, who was here for 35 years, was the only person here. And we only had 60 people in the program back then. So it was working, but the program was starting to grow. So he stepped down as coordinator and became just an instructor, and he opened up that vacancy or that slot for me to go into. And so I came on board my first year as coordinator with a self-study. That was overdue.
And Jean, do you remember your first contact with the college?
Sure. Mm-hmm. I just moved from Michigan and I needed a job. Yes, that's what I did. My husband took a big cut in pay coming from the Detroit area to here. And so I thought, okay, I need a job. I had a nursing background and I could have gone to Greater Hartford. That was possible, but nurses work too hard. So I thought I'll try and see what I can get. And so I'm living in Columbia, so I took and I made a circle around, okay, how far do I want to travel out? And there was Eastern and there was Manchester. So it wasn't as lofty as you. I hadn't heard of Manchester. I mean, it was just within the circle. My husband was teaching at Eastern, and we decided, we didn't want to do that. So that was within the periphery.
Get out of here. That is so logical.
Yeah.
I
went down here, and they were advertising for a Women's Center Director, and I interviewed with Jack Gannon.
Jack Gannon.
Yes, and it's really funny because what's the name? I can't remember some of the names of the people I interviewed, but he took me on a tour, and it was like, when you got the job and when you didn't, and I said, I got it. Yeah. So we hit it off with Jack, yeah.
Okay. And do you remember your interview process, or your search committee?
The search committee, mine was, Al Freeheit is the one who just pretty much was like, you've got the criminal law class and hit the ground running. It was like the next week it started or something for my part-time. But for coming on board and interviewing and stuff like that, there was who was on my panel? Marcia Jennings was on, Steve Cassano was on the panel, Jack Gannon was on the panel. He actually came in to watch me teach. John Sutherland was on the panel.
Oh, jeez.
All
the good old guys. Yeah,
and Al Freeheit. And so it was a panel that was very entertaining and very easy to talk to. I mean, it was just
the guys
just
easy.
Easy going.
Yeah. I didn't, for the Women's Center, I just interviewed with people in the student activities, and I can't remember their names.
What was the other one that left? Wasn't it Diane something?
Oh, that was way before her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was before her.
Let me just throw a question out, and we'll see whoever responds first. Who are some of the people you remember back from your early years at MCC?
Jack Gannon.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Oh God, I loved talking to Jack because he was just so easy to talk to, and he was a friend to everyone. When you were with Jack, you were Jack's best friend. I mean, that's what you felt like.
Wasn't he running continuing ed at that point?
He was something in student affairs or student. I don't know. He went through a process, several different processes, and then there was of course Andy Paterna, because he was one of the faculty who managed as a male to come down to the Women's Center director, and we would run programs together. And Andy was another one that was just, he was right there for you, and he helped you out.
Yeah, I always thought of Andy as Mr. MCC.
Yeah.
I always thought of him as MCC.
Yeah. I mean, those were...
What's that guy, Tommy? What's it, Tom
Lewis?
Tom Lewis, yeah.
There was Tom Lewis, there was Bill Levy, there was Sebastian. Good old
Oh,
Sebastian. Oh, my God.
geez.
Talk about a memorable character.
Bill Levy and Sebastian together.
Yes, the dynamic duo. When they had the office down here on the first floor and the rocking chairs, they were like an old married couple.
Yeah, and so they wanted to have this room downstairs. Should I be talking to? Yeah. So down where the old social science office used to be. Yeah. And remember how long they waited to get, and I mean...
This big room with a big
window.
It had to have a window.
Yep, and so had to have a window. So the first day that they got it, myself and Glenn Lemaire went out and got a big sheet of construction paper when they were in their classes, and we construction papered their whole entire window so that when they came back in, it was totally blacked out and they couldn't look outside. So, I mean, it's just
because when Sebastian, when they moved everything around and they took that over for offices, he got a room without a window. So he got a big piece of paper and he made a window just so he would have it. Yep. But he was so pissed because he went from a big, huge room with this rocking chair and the big window down to this.
And then he moved into my office. I was with Sebastian for a couple of years. Yeah.
My first office when I got faculty was with, here's another one we forgot to mention, Angela Masori.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. If you've ever seen Angelo's office.
Well, he's very neat, isn't he?
He's anal about his neatness. Yes, and so here is...
And you have to, I mean, in this clip, you have to get...
You have to get his office. You have to get his office.
It's legendary.
There was one that beat him out, though. In fact, you could never have anyone in her office. You literally had to step over, and that was Sandy Tegas.
Yeah, would you say you had to step over stuff?
You had to step over stuff to get into her office. But she was another character. I mean, delightful, beautiful person, but like Angela, just anally neat. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just seems like some of those old timers were so. I mean, there was a lot of passion. Do you know what I mean? When I say old timers now, I'm talking about everyone in this room, the four of us.
Because we are.
Because we are the old timers. Yeah. But I mean, there was a passion that used to be there. Yeah. And, Bob and I were talking. I mean, you used to go in a faculty senate, and it would be...
Well, the thing is...
Maybe passion's not the right word.
No, there was passion, and there was arguments, and there was fierceness, which now is looked upon as disagreement.
Yeah, or disrespect. Maybe disrespect.
And it's like, academia is made up of disagreements. That's how we proceed, and there it was just automatic.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I remember about like all those guys. I mean, there was some Professor Goodman. I remember meeting. Do you remember Professor Goodman? Oh, you do? Both? Yeah, wow. Yeah. Professor Goodman used to live across the street from me, and I could tell you some stories about him. But he's another one, just passionate about what he's doing. I don't know.
And the other thing is, they didn't need to be told to do things. I mean, we brought in, I think it was Andy, was probably instrumental. We brought in Kubler-Ross. We brought in, Samoa, come on. Margaret Mead, okay.
Yep. We brought in Dr. Lee in his first years when OJ.
And, these are top-name people that we had here, that we were doing prior to mandating us to do all this stuff. And we had a lot more of the kind of disciplinary things rather than how we should do things. You know what I mean? We have a lot of conferences now.
Disciplinary? I don't know what that
Well,
is.
I mean, like, there was psychology.
Discipline within your thing.
We had the psychology, we had the anthropology, we had this. Now we have conferences, our professional conferences on our...
How to do paperwork.
Or how to teach, or how to... Yeah.
Role-playing on how to teach.
Do either of you remember Bill Dowd, working with Bill?
Oh God, Bill Dowd was Bill Levy
wasn't
couldn't
here,
interview
no.
me. I mean, couldn't evaluate me one time, and we had to be Bill Dowd, and I was shaking in my boots.
Really?
Oh my God!
What did he teach?
Booming voice,
John Sutherland too had a booming voice.
Oh, not like Bill Dowd, because
Really?
Bill Dowd. But yeah, John Sutherland was like a poker. He's thin.
Yeah.
Bill Dowd is big.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't
I mean he
remember
was. He was great, but he scared the bejesus out of you. And at Senate meetings, you'd get Bill Dowd, you'd get Sutherland, you'd get all these guys who would be ranting and raving about some issue that
I don't know.
we don't have.
Yeah,
I think we're afraid. I don't know. I'm
think
not
we're-
sure.
I think-
I mean, we have become, as you said, as we were talking before, much more professional. Maybe.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe you don't want to put all this stuff in there.
Yeah. I don't care.
I mean, let's talk about the changes over the last 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I mean,
You really want to do that with me? Yeah. You know you've got.
Well, they can
yeah.
edit. They can edit.
Yeah, you can.
They'll
edit.
get out. They'll get
Okay.
out the bad stuff.
You take care of us, yeah, John.
Yeah,
All
they'll
right.
put in. We've become much more professional, right? I think it's inevitable. I think it's like the growing pains. When you start out, it's always easy. You can do whatever you want because the structure's not there, and so we had a lot of freedom, and we had fewer people. And we, the beginning years, no one really knew what is a community college. What do you do? And so we were experimenting. And and as you're growing up through your failures and your successes, you bond together.
Right.
You do. But then as it becomes larger, as it becomes older,
that's true.
and it's like
Maybe the
you
larger,
go through
yeah.
as you go through you're, as an infant, developmentally you go through. You can do a lot of things. Your teenage years you explore. By the time you reach adulthood, you would like to, but you are forced by the times.
No, I mean, I remember being here, and so it must have been '94 that my first year here. We were doing TQM, Total Quality Management. I mean, back
Tommy
then.
Davis. Remember Tommy Davis?
No.
Someone told me they had spent $200,000 to get him in here too.
Yeah, I did. That's the guy who spoke. Yeah. So we were doing that back then.
Business model.
Business model. So we're doing stuff like that. But I remember that it wasn't. Now this is what it is. Now, as we've transitioned through this 20 years, and now it's become a priority to do administrative checkpoints instead of a priority to teach. And I think that. I mean, I used to put a lot more into my teaching, and there's been several occasions in the past 10 years where I've walked in and literally haven't had time to prep because of, stuff. I don't know. It's just changed. And we had more. I had mock trial. We were a nationally ranked team, and I need to just put that in there. But we were a nationally ranked team for like 7 years, and I remember being able to do mock trial and have it national, and be able to teach and still make everything work. And I had a 2 or 3 year old at the time. So, I mean, nowadays I couldn't possibly imagine doing.
Can't do it, yeah.
I could never do mock trial with all the paperwork and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, because I would run the Fulbright, and I'd bring in scholars from all over the world, different people, and we'd make the arrangements. And
Yeah, that's right. And we used to take them back.
it got to the point where they were making it much more difficult to do. Chuck Please is another one that was memorable.
Oh.
And when he ran whatever department it was, I had to go through him for money. It was like, you go in, you tell him what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't cheat, we didn't do it, but he
No.
had kept the books.
Yeah.
But then we got now to the point where
Yeah, that's true. We used to go in and just be like,
Yeah,
we need like $1,000 or
the
whatever.
paperwork,
Yeah.
the bureaucracy has gotten to the point where I'm not going to do it. I stopped doing it.
Yep, that's what I did.
Especially since I had $700 left one year, and I went back. They said, "Oh no, you owe us $700." I said, "Okay, that's it. I'm done with that.
I remember
Forget it. I'm not doing this anymore."
But we do need to speak to the regime. When I came in, there was, I thought, several really good deans. I thought there was some really, really good deans in my time. I like Carol Eaton. Who was the one before Carol Eaton?
Louise
Corwin. What a little sweetheart. She was just, she was very, very nice. But some of the people, without naming names, that had taken over after that just made it very unwelcome, very like you didn't want to step out of line. So no one tried to do stuff that was creative because a lot of time and effort would go into it, and then it would just be kiboshed. And I think that's what happened during that regime. But I see it coming full circle. And I've got to say, and I guess I could say that this president is just, the president that we have now, Gina Glickman, is just
Oh, she's
amazing.
fantastic.
She's just amazing. She's easygoing. easy to talk to. Some prior presidents, probably wouldn't stop in the hallway and chat and but just really down to earth. I feel like I can actually call her Gina and not have to worry about, Dr. Glickman.
Well, yeah. Well, if you said good afternoon, she would answer you.
Right. And dancing at the wine auction. Yeah. Dancing at the wine auction, and with the students and just a great...
I came in under Vincent. You remember Vincent, which was a trip and a half. No. They were, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard...
There were tales. There were tales about him.
I heard tales.
I knew his wife also because I taught part-time at Greater Hartford, Capitol, in the nursing program there, and got invited, so knew him a little bit. But it was a totally different milieu.
Oh, good word. Good word.
Yeah, and then we had another big chunk of time where we had a different one. And as Donna says, right now, I think it's probably the best it's been since I've been here for presidents.
All right.
Let's switch topics a little bit and talk about students. Let's think back to the time you spent here. Are there a couple of students who really stand out as unique or having accomplished a great deal, or people you were just very proud of?
Can I just do mine?
Yes,
I'll do
go
one.
ahead. Yeah,
and I'm going to name names. This kid's name was Ben Harvey, and he came through
God,
here
Ben.
3 years
Ben.
ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, and this young man came into my coordinator at that point. Where you meet students, meet the coordinator thing, and he was the only one who showed up, and he showed up with his mom. This young man, Vietnamese. I don't know what he was. Vietnamese.
He was Vietnamese, adopted.
Vietnamese, and he was adopted by his mom from Vietnam. He had no arms and one leg, right? No arms and one leg. He used to write with his pencil in between his arm and his head. Well, this kid I'm not talking about, he did everything. Not only was he brilliant, but I remember the first time I met him, he dropped a piece of paper on the floor. Now, once again, you have to keep in mind, how's he going to get down there and stuff like that. He literally took off his leg, laid down on the side of the desk, rolled off, got the piece of paper, put it on, and went to throw it away in the trash can. When all these other kids are walking by their bottles, tip them over, leave their garbage. This was just a kid, that was my first impression of him, was it didn't bother him at all. And because of that, I didn't treat him like...
No.
If whatever he wants. Do you want a soda? Yeah, here you go. He'd come over, he'd get the soda and
I have a story about Ben. He did Cardboard City one year. I was out there, and I was in my little house, and he was next door. I didn't know he was next door. This is about midnight. I hear somebody saying, hello, is anybody there? And, I'm half sleeping. And I kind of got up and, hello, and I go, I look in the tent, and, of course, he had an artificial, I think, from his knee down.
From his knee down.
Everything was off, but he was in a sleeping bag and must have turned and got caught, and he couldn't get the zipper, because, remember, he has no arms and only one leg. And he couldn't get out. He couldn't extricate himself. Oh. I thought I was going to cry. But here's this, I'm sorry to wake you. Could you help me? Yeah. My mouth is hanging open. Yep. And I said, sure, Ben, of course, anytime. He says, and, so I helped him out. And I went back, and I was just flabbergasted. Yep. And he was, thank me profusely. And then he got up because he was going the next day to some criminal justice thing that
to
morning.
New York City, yeah.
He got up earlier than the rest of us in order to make the bus to go on this.
Yeah, he's just amazing. He's just amazing. And we also have to mention, the Dudas. Got to mention the Dudas, which is, Chris, John, and Matt. And now we have another one coming through, Josh. 3 of them were in criminal justice. I guess Josh is going to be going into... media and IT and all that kind of stuff. But this was a family of 11 kids who were homeschooled.
Incredible.
Who were then sent to MCC. So MCC is their first exposure. I believe they're Mormon, but don't quote me on that. But at their house, they have no computers. They have no TV. They only have one car for 11 kids and the parents. And the license plate on the car is Zippity. Because their last name is Duda. But they're just, anyone who watches this ever worked at MCC will know Matt, John, or Chris, and they were an amazing kids, just amazing. And they excelled, once again, coming from, homeschooled, 11 kids, in a trailer. I don't even think it was a house, in a trailer. And they just excelled. The father said that they had to have $30,000 in the bank and a job before they could get married, and they could only date with a chaperone. So if a chaperone was there, they could date, but they had never kissed or anything. I went to their wedding, and the first kiss that both of them had was at the wedding.
Well, there was another one, and she's also been homeschooled, and it's interesting about the homeschooled kids.
They do well.
Meg Spillman, and she got the Brenda Parmalee Award. She's an OTA. Again, she's been homeschooled.
Yeah.
And just the most gracious, nicest.
Yeah.
And she is in the OTA program, had to take off a year because she got thyroid cancer. Bounced back.
Beautiful
and
little girl,
yeah,
too.
Oh,
Beautiful.
she will be back here teaching, I'd say, within 10 years.
For real, yeah.
For real. I mean, you know, but she is... Carlos Silva is another one that, again, overcoming odds and just... I mean, they give you the chills. They give you the chills.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even think of all of them.
Who was the one that spoke this year? You said you knew the background? Sue Yim or whatever her name was?
Jackie.
No.
Yes, Jackie. The one... No one spoke because they were both
right.
But the one who won the president's award.
Right.
Yeah.
What was her background? You remember?
Yeah, she's been she's been in and out of drug rehab, incarceration. You know, that kind of
that kind of background.
Really,
yeah.
And
it's just amazing. I've got a little girl who's dog sitting who's in my criminal justice program right now. Stephanie R. It was Stephanie, and she was a huge heroin addict. She was homeless. She was into everything you could possibly do, and she came to MCC. Now she's been sober for 2 years. She's gotten herself a house, or not house, but an apartment. And just, you see it all again. Brenton Gagnon.
You see it
again and again.
Brendan and Nathan Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
They are now lawyers.
Crap,
I mean,
I got lawyers. I got captains.
What impressed me about these two, I had them in my course in anthropology, and I don't have a program, so I only get these people and they go off. And I always give them a question for their essay that they can discuss and talk about. Nobody does until that day. I remember with I think it was Nate, that we were talking about multi-regionalism versus, the out of Africa theory about humans and when they migrated. They were down and he had a whole group of students discussing this issue. I mean, it blew me away because this was an academic issue that he was so excited about. Because a lot of them come through and they have these odds that they do. Well, he was academically gifted. I mean,
and now he's teaching here.
Yeah.
He teaches just here. It happens all the time. Mike
impresses.
Hicks, who was a student teaching here. You can even talk about Lucy Hurston, who was a student for Bill Levy, who now is going up for full professor. I mean,
she is.
So many times you have students that come through and end up teaching here, whether it's part time or whatever. But I mean, captains, nurses, doctors.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
Yeah, it's just it goes on.
Many. There's always in each class. Someone, when I'm ready to quit, who inspires me. No, I think I'll stay on for a little longer because they do that. They have the, And working in the Women's Center, too, it was at the time when you were talking about the students and probably want to know how they've changed. When I started, the average age was in the 30s.
Yes.
And
same with my mock trial team, 30.
They were women who were basically either divorced, separated, and out for the first time and having to become independent and raise their families. And as a teacher, these students, all you had to do is click the key and tell them they had the confidence they could do it, and then they just...
Same with you guys?
Yeah.
30, average age 30? I mean, mine was 28 to 30, and now they're
much more difficult now.
17 to 18.
Much more difficult to... I'll get them, but I don't have as... The urgency isn't there, and at 18, I don't know what I was going to do either. I mean, so it's like, it's a lot different teaching with this. And then, of course, I had, you want to talk about students, is Seagal, what's her first name? The one that just turned 100.
Franny.
Frances Seagal.
Yeah, Frances Seagal.
She would come, I think she came to everyone. I think she came to every class that MCC offers. And
she was in that book.
She audited, but she participated. She contributed. I mean, she had glasses about this thick, but it's just so excited about.
She's got to be 102 now.
Well, she must be because their 100-year thing was a couple of years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But she was just delightful. Yeah.
If you each reflect back on your careers, is there something that you're most proud of? something.
Both of us stopped.
So glad.
Yeah, I've got to
I
go.
don't
I've got to go with the mock trial thing again. I mean, at the height of that, we had Yale coming here to I don't know, to kind of sharpen their skills because we were that good. I mean, we had Yale, Harvard, MIT, Columbia, Stanford. I mean, we beat them all, and we beat them all. So to have a 2-year college, they used to be like, and it was the first couple of years, it was great because they'd be like, oh, it's just MCC. We'll kick them. You know what I mean? We'll totally got this. We'll win the whole college. And literally, after a couple of years, they were scared. By the time we started going out to, Minnesota and all that kind of stuff, people were like, holy crap, we pulled Manchester. Oh, my God, we're not going to win. Stanford University was scared. I mean, so I think but it wasn't just me. It wasn't me. It was Bob Boland, who you guys, know, and it was my coaches who all came here to teach, whether it was Tom Martin, whether it was Nathan LaValle. I mean, the list goes on. But, I mean, it was really Bob Boland and Maya's baby, and then Bob passed on in 2005, and you can't recreate some stuff sometimes.
And I guess if you want to think about, I could say, and I probably, as far as in anthropology, well, no, I was probably running the Fulbright and bringing individuals here from all over, because I can remember we tried to make it, it was easy to make it controversial. Remember bringing in, and it really touched me, we brought in somebody from India and somebody from Pakistan.
Yes,
it was the first time each of them had ever talked to the other side.
Down in the auditorium, here. Yeah, I went to that.
And so each year we would bring them, and it was on a global network, and it was small, it was minute, but they were the first time many of these people actually heard the other side.
Yep.
And
that was a good one.
That one specifically stands out because they told me, I've never talked to a Pakistani, I've never talked to an Indian. And it was like, oh, they're really real. But overall, I have to say, I have to go back to teaching. I think I'm most proud of that.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah, I mean, only because I love the classroom. And I know students come in and they don't know what anthropology is. When I taught psych, it was different because psych is about the person, and everybody loves psych. But when I had to teach anthro, it was like it filled a slot, and okay. And I can get them somewhat excited. I mean, I went from one section to 3 sections of
And now you do a dig.
And, well, we've expanded the offerings. We do have the site. But the classroom, it's like, I once said in my first interview when I came here, what do you think? What is your role as a teacher? And I said it's basically as a catalyst. I don't really get involved.
Really good big words.
I don't get involved with them, but I'm necessary for their evolution. That comes from anthropology, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a necessary ingredient.
I'm going to throw around some legal words. I'm going to do like actus reus and stuff like that.
And I think I do, maybe 1 or 2. But I have had students, things I don't even think about too much, like, no, this can't be. But I asked this year, what are the 5 best things of anthropology? And one of the things, it's a very simple exercise, but I make them, and I use it because I want them to learn organization and how to structure things, is to do a kinship chart. And almost to a student, I think I got probably 90% said, I never looked at my family that way. I had to talk to people that they never talked to be able to organize them. I didn't realize this. And it was like, good. If I put you in touch with your family, So it's the things I think that happen within the classroom with some of the activities or the assignments. And then there are some that fall flat, of course. But, I think overall, that's what I think of as I'm the most proud.
Yeah.
How about funny stories? Whether it involves faculty, staff, students?
Oh, God, yeah. We started writing.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got to do it.
I can remember a student. It was
stop. No. So what we wanted to do, and what we should still do, faculty, this is what you should be asking people when they come here. This is what we have to do. We want to write a book of the top 100 excuses that you've
most creative
in your classroom. And we've had, I've had them all. I had a person who's now on a police department, but it was like my first 2 weeks of working here. And she came up and she said, I'm going to be gone all through October. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you can't really do that. It doesn't work. And she said, well, I'm going up to Canada to have a sex change, so I won't be back for that whole time period. And so I literally, as a brand new teacher, was like, Okay, and literally, I mean, it was successful, and now she's a brilliant, police officer. But I mean, back then, I was like, "What do you do?" Or how about your tracheotomy? Was it you or Joan who had
I think
tracheotomy?
it was Joan who had somebody had tracheotomy.
They had a tracheotomy on Thursday, but he'll be back in school on Monday.
But I had the classic one I had. I had this gal call, and I'd had her in my class, but she wasn't in my class now. She says, "I want to call and tell you that my husband's not going to be in class today because I just had a baby." She called for her husband. Okay, all right. I mean,
or the kid who was I can't come in today because I was jumping up and down on my bed and fell off and broke my arm. First thing you go is, oh my God, that sucks. But the second thing you go, you're 22 years old. Why are you jumping up and down on your bed? But yeah,
of course. And then we always have the numerous grandparents that die.
Yeah.
Very conveniently.
The ferret. Didn't you have that chick that had the ferret who passed on, and she was in mourning for like a month?
Right, right. She couldn't come because
because of her ferret.
Ferret died, and then we had the student who. This wasn't an excuse. She was a student with disabilities, and she needed to have an EEG, but she didn't want to miss classes, so she came to school with the electrodes and her monitor in her head. And it was like.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you take it in stride. Okay. You take it in stride.
Yeah. How about stories about faculty? My one that's doing that with Sebastian and Bill. But what else have we done? We're not really good pranksters. I heard you guys used to have like happy hour and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have happy hour, so that's probably why we're not pranksters.
I know. If
anymore.
I thought back, I could think of.
Well, Marianne Handley used to have her dog there, and they used to pull tricks with her dog and stuff. But I don't remember.
I can't.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You? How about you? You got any good faculty ones? No?
I'm sure John does. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I've got one. Let the camera run. This was. This involves Sebastian Mudry.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh, Sebastian is a perfect
So
one.
I was in the East Campus, and I had my evening film class. And at that time, you would bring your videotape to the media center, and there were TVs suspended from the corner of the classroom.
Yeah.
So I brought my videotape, which was a movie called The Great Santini, and handed it to Hugh Edmondson, and said, Hugh, I'm going to talk for 15 minutes. So how about you start the tape at 7:15? He says, fine. So I go in, I talk for 15 minutes, I look at my watch, and I say, now why don't we watch tonight's feature film, The Great Santini? And the screen brightened, and there was a guy totally nude with a giant erection.
Oh, what? Oh, that is awesome.
And he walks across the room where there's a lady on a couch with her legs spread, and they start screwing.
Oh,
and it took me about 10 seconds to react, and I turned it off.
Oh,
and I said,
my God.
I said, this isn't the opening of the film.
They were like, the students were like, damn.
So I ran back to the media center, and Hugh Edmondson was up front talking to someone. And I said, Hugh, what's the problem? And we walk into the back, and there's Sebastian Mudry, who was previewing a film for human sexuality.
Oh, my God, that's you,
Sebastian. Oh, yay, Sebastian. Oh, my God, you got to love that. And he's the only one who ever could get, what did he get, sabbatical twice in Hawaii with the same guy so that he could study from this guy that was dying.
So to become self-actualized.
Yeah.
And his course is still running, and the book is still being used.
There you go.
Abe something, yeah.
Well, this has been good. Any last minute, last moment recollections or reflections or anything that you want to add?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Give me some time here.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's just so. I mean, the two of us could talk for an
yeah.
hour,
I mean, one thing leads to another, and I'll leave the room and I'll say, oh God, I should have said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I think the reason that I stayed here was because of the faculty. Yeah. Because of the faculty. Yeah, really. I mean, I loved teaching the students, but I could have gone other places. I mean, like I said, I did teach for a while at Capitol, but it was the fact that we could do those kinds of things and laugh about them, and there was always somebody there.
That you bond with, yeah.
I mean, and this is to this day. I mean, it isn't as all pervasive, but Fran Roselli's in my next office, and it's like I'm comfortable going in and blowing off steam, bitching, or doing whatever, or calling you, or picking up the pieces, or it's probably one of the best places I've worked. And a number of different places. Even, but like all of the problems we've talked about, it's like, it's because it's family you can do it. don't let anyone outside talk.
Oh, yeah, don't let anybody say anything about
No,
MCC.
it's so-
oh, yeah,
it's,
no.
It's
no,
the,
no.
it really is the zeitgeist. There's another one for you.
He's like, oh, see, duh. Man, I want to talk about causation or something. God, you can't slip that into the video. But no, I mean, I'm sure if we think of like something that's, really ridiculously funny, that we can come back and just give you.
Right, I'll tell you the
I'm
story.
sure you guys have a ton of stories.
I know, and I know there are some, and I'm
blanking.
I'm blanking out. I can't. Yeah.
It's always about the students that make us laugh.
No, that's okay. I think we're basically done. I mean,
Perfect.
You guys were really dynamic together. It was real good chemistry.
Oh yeah.
Well, we try for that.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to do it together. Yeah.